Where is it? There's a video by Big Boss I wanted to check out that he posted like 5 days ago. Also, I'm gonna grab some. Alrighty.
This video is sponsored by Opera GX. The year is 2023, and for Bethesda Game Studios, it's the final sprint. The culmination of hundreds of millions of dollars and a quarter century of work. And for hundreds of people, almost a decade of full-scale production is about to materialize. Starfield is releasing on the 6th of September, and Todd Howard's magnum opus will be upon us.
Yep, the magnum
2018.
opus that was a complete failure, and I literally hadn't heard of until people started shitting on it. I didn't even know it was a game coming out out. I just heard of it because I saw people shitting on it when it came out.
6 reviews have come in, and they're not too hot. Fallout 4 was a few years before. Not amazing either. Todd's once perfectly polished image is now getting torn to shreds. The people, they're like wild animals. But he remains unfazed. When they see this next project, everything will change. Starfield is Todd Howard's dream game. Something he'd wanted to make since he was a kid, and Bethesda had waited patiently for the technology to arrive to make it. And now was the time. By this point, Todd has also amassed an army of around 500 people. They span multiple countries and 4 whole studios. The manpower here, sizable. And they're going in big. Voiced protagonists. Something they'd spent a ton of time and money on, and turned out to be one of the biggest complaints of their last mainline game. Let's bring it back. And at the start of Starfield's development, Bethesda's design lead and head writer Emil Paliarulo goes on to cast voice actors and record lines. He's even weighing having multiple voice actors this time round. However, early on in development, higher-ups come to a realization. Bethesda had been taking an unrelenting stream of L's for a few years now. Starfield, well, it should probably deliver. So they decide on a change of pace, and to actually take in some fan feedback. And the voiced protagonist thing is scrapped entirely. The game engine too, historically, a notoriously robust bit of kit. And as brilliant as it is, fans have been quite vocal about wanting a better one for almost a decade. So they get working on that too. Also, RPG elements, well, they're actually adding some here.
I haven't played it either, I just know Starfield was heavily shit on.
2021, 5 years of active development, and the game is beginning to take shape. Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax has also just been bought out by Microsoft, and money is now no object. Microsoft wants a system seller, and Todd's only job is to deliver one. They have all the resources they could possibly want. And on the 13th of June, Todd marches on stage and we get our first look. Wow. Their first new IP in 25 years. The ultimate Bethesda game, Todd says. And after years of groveling for a new engine, we get our wish. The Creation Engine 2. Okay, people aren't massively thrilled, but this is groundbreaking stuff, Todd insists. And there it is. One of Todd's crazy dates again. May 22nd, 2022. Around 7 months out from launch, and that's out the window.
That'd be
Because
November
the game's delayed.
11th.
Come back in early 2023. The disappointment is palpable. But in June, Todd's on stage again, and we hear some familiar lines.
Our most ambitious game ever, where you get to be who you want and go where you want.
Not again. But then, we get a glimpse at the actual gameplay for the first time. Deep crafting systems.
Not again.
Weapon mods.
I assume those were the same kind of things he used on, like, Fallout 76 or whatever.
Buildable outposts. Even your own spaceships. Wait, we can even fly them? Land and explore anywhere? Over 100 systems? Over 1,000 planets. My god. Also, were those background options and traits in a Bethesda game? A silent protagonist is back? Were they actually listening? Starfield was going to be an actual RPG, a true return to form. The reveal doesn't come without concerns, however. The performance, it doesn't look great. In fact, you can see the game barely holding it together at parts. The gunplay and dogfighting look a bit stiff, and 1,000 planets.
Yeah.
Either another sweet lie.
Like, you can... I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I saw that, I would be disappointed. You can see the frames there.
However, the performance, it doesn't look great. In fact, you can see the game barely...
You can count the frames as it's moving.
Holding it together at parts. The gunplay and dogfighting look a bit stiff, and 1,000 planets. Either another sweet lie, or this game sounds very procedural. Todd hears the concerns. Don't worry. Starfield has more handcrafted content than ever before. More than Skyrim and Fallout 4 combined, he assures us. He doesn't give any solid figures though. For some reason, Todd says he's stopped giving out numbers.
16 times.
It's now March 2023. The game should be releasing in just a few months. But no. Game's delayed again. Come back in September 2023. Summer 2023. Todd returns to the stage again, and this time, he's brought almost an hour of gameplay with him. The game looks a lot more polished. We also hear some more familiar lines.
That isn't just a backdrop. That moon is actually there orbiting the planet. Yes, you can visit it too. That mountain is not just a backdrop. You can walk all the way to the top of that mountain.
September 6th is now about 3 months away, so Todd and the boys put on some fresh kicks. It's time for some interviews. Washington Post, GQ, Esquire. The man is everywhere. Todd's like a playboy. The marketing machine is now in full frenzy, and lots of totally normal articles are being released.
What the hell is even that?
He's Christopher Nolan. Todd Howard is to games what Tom Cruise is to cinema. He cackles when I suggest this theory to him. Slight, boyishly handsome, sharp-jawed, and touzle-haired. He has the look of classical.
Oh my god!
He's become a semi-mythical figure to gamers. Now 52 years old, the only real sign of him being flesh and bone.
This is like a love letter.
Bags under his sea blue eyes. He's reserved, but not at all shy. Talkative, but never all that forthcoming. Okay. He even posts on Reddit. Fans are increasingly excited. It's like Todd's doing a victory lap here. Whatever they've cooked up over in Maryland, it's good. Turns out, they'd had just about every QA person at Xbox on it, and they're saying it's the least buggy game in Bethesda's history. 500 developers, $400 million. Almost a decade in development. Out the way, Halo. This is Microsoft's new system seller. Emil says it's the best game they've ever made. Todd even compares it to Red Dead Redemption 2.
Probably has more of a feeling of like a Red Dead 2, right? Like I'm.
Oh, that's bold.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
So
Other developers are trembling in fear at the release date, and games like Baldur's Gate.
You know, Red Dead Redemption has its issues, but it's a really good game. There's a reason why so many people suck its cock. And swear by it like it's the fucking Bible. It is a good game.
Three have shifted theirs back by more than a month just to avoid crossing paths. The masters of the RPG had checked out for a while, but on September 6th, Daddy's coming home.
No, it's just because Red Dead Redemption 2 is just a really good game. So a lot of people like give it praise and like swear by it that it is the best game ever made, even to this day. And it is a really good game, but it does have its issues. It's more just the fact it's not a game for everyone. And the first chapter is just so fucking boring, man. I'm sorry, but Red Dead Redemption 2's first chapter is so boring. Once you get, like, it's a lot more enjoyable once you reach chapter 2 and you, like, actually have freedom to go do shit.
Before that, do you browse the internet? And are you using Insert Generic Internet Browser here? The grey colour scheme. Generic corporate design. Michael. Opera GX makes browsing online fun. The perks are numerous. Trying to watch a video
that's what I use.
uninterrupted, or mid-fight and sick of intrusions. How about complete uninterruption? Because Opera GX is equipped with formidable ad-blocking technology. Video pop-outs, so you can watch entertainment or important news updates at all times. A sidebar filled with music and media to ensure dopamine flows at all times. And added privacy and cross-continental IP addresses with their free VPN. Also, sick of your friends and family walking in during some late-night reading? Hit the panic button.
Okay.
6th of September, 20 for a GX can be whatever you want. Can't be bothered to migrate everything over? Well, it's equipped with a state-of-the-art import tool. A few clicks, and your browsing history, bookmarks, and cookies, they're all here. Midnight, 6th of September, 2023. Starfield is set for launch. And people jump into Bethesda's first new IP in 25 years. At first, Starfield is met with rave reviews. 88 on Metacritic, and a ton of 10 out of 10s coming in. It's amazing.
Yeah, when it first came out, I heard people saying it was pretty good.
But a few hours in, and some time to reflect, and opinions slowly begin to change. The performance. On PC, there's a bit of chop.
Why did you not optimize this game for PC?
We did. It's running great. It is a next-gen PC game. We really do push the technology, so you may need to upgrade your PC for this game.
The system requirements, quite demanding. The game requires an SSD to run, and yet, space has never been this choppy.
We might run into some chop. Chop? We could fucking handle chop, right? I mean, it's a $3,000 PC.
No, we're not going anywhere unless he says it's safe, all right?
Don't worry about the chop. You don't know shit about chop.
Oh, really? And you do? You're a fucking expert on
I'll chop your fucking credit card in half. How about that?
Even on NASA tier PCs, low FPS and massive frame drops. Also, AMD sponsored the game, and conveniently, Intel and Nvidia parts are specifically struggling. There's also no Nvidia DLSS in the game, something that modders are able to patch in within hours. On Xbox, things are a bit more consistent, but even then, Todd's chained us down to just 30 FPS. Even on the $500 Series
Is that
X.
supposed to be
That
Asmongold?
30
Is that
FPS
supposed to be the
also
Roach King?
target FPS. That's what Series X. That 30 FPS is also the target FPS. That's what it's aiming for, and not always what it's hitting. Walk into a city like New Atlantis, and that number dribbles down to the low 20s.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
This is on a AAA game, on a barely 3-year-old console, in the year 2023, when most other big games can run at 120 FPS. The head of Xbox says it's a creative decision. So far, the console Metacritic is just about hanging on, but for PC, it's bombs away. Spared the horrific performance and actually managed to run the game? Well, there is some good stuff here. For the first time in a modern Bethesda game, physics are no longer tied to frame rate. You can now uncap it without causing horrific issues with jump height, movement speed, enemies, and objects. The shipbuilding is great. The gun mods are pretty good. There's some RPG elements here, and for a Bethesda game, a relatively bug-free launch. Far less game-breaking issues and corrupt save files. They'd even cracked ladders. That's the good. And then there's everything else. Starfield was conceived 25 years ago, trademarked a decade ago, and started full development 8 years ago. And the final game had come out the other side, severely lacking.
It's an embarrassment.
In a lot of ways, it's one of their most bare-bones games yet. Incredibly basic things are just missing. The FOV slider. Fallout 76 had one. Fallout 4 had one. A simple text file change in the game files allows Starfield to have one, so why wasn't it in the game? There's no ultra-wide monitor support, no HDR on PC, there's not even any images on the save files. There's also no brightness, contrast, or gamma sliders of any kind. This is on a game that looks horrifically dodgy TV or monitor. Unlucky, son. This is what your game looks like. An in-game calendar? Nope. Your start date is May the 7th, 2330. So if you want to know what day it is, you'll just have to keep track yourself. There was a calendar in Elder Scrolls Arena back in 1994. There's also no in-game map. Again, Arena had this in 1994. Simply no longer possible. Technological marvel.
It's like a Diet 76. Jesus.
And despite multiple delays and intense QA testing,
just without all the bugs,
still quite buggy.
You can do pretty much anything.
Never mind.
Exploring every inch of a mostly untouched galaxy.
Oh my god, it's Jesus.
You do explore differently in this game.
We want you to feel hopeful. We want you to feel this sense of awe and wonder. And sometimes a little fear.
May I see your credentials, please?
Now
that does make me, you know,
and wonder, and sometimes a little fear.
That does leave me with a sense of awe, and awe of how fucking bad it is.
I see your credentials, please.
Now it would take probably 4, 5, 6 loading screens to get to my ship from the top of Neon. The amount of loading screens is disgusting.
Spaceflight should be exciting and dangerous.
I've seen this one before with the bodies doing weird shit.
We always put so much care into all those little details that breathe life into our worlds.
Yeah, you can't knock stuff around.
Our biggest goal for lighting was to make the game feel more filmy, to use lighting and color to really make it feel more cinematic.
Really
All-consuming moon, apparently.
Change my ship right now. That'd be great. It's too bad that the NPC is up there.
Outside of the game itself, Starfield launched with a $300 collector's edition. This included a patch, some art, and a box. But centerpiece, an electronic watch. And turns out, a ton of these are already breaking. Alright, pretty poor effort, but none of that matters. Modders patch most of it in a matter of days. What does matter is the actual game, and Todd and the boys had somehow created entire star systems to explore here. And turns out, he wasn't lying. There actually are over 1,000 planets. Spaceships, space flight, all in a Bethesda game with the same bones as Morrowind. This thing was a miracle. We had unparalleled freedom to explore here. And after clearing the first mission, players board their ship and set course for the stars. They could fly anywhere. Hold on. Set course? Was that loading screens? Surely we could actually fly to planets in this massive space exploration RPG. Some spend hours attempting this, and turns out, no. No, you can't. Because planets in this game...
Oh, yeah, I remember this. How the whole thing was about space exploration. And yet, when going to a planet, it just puts you into a loading screen.
Massive JPEGs floating around in an empty skybox. That's space.
That's completely flat. That's 100% flat,
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. That can't be real, right?
You can't land on them. You can't even get to them without hours of your life gone. Manage that, and you'll just phase through them.
That moon is actually there. Yes, you can visit it too.
Want to actually explore space in this space exploration game? Well, that'll involve digging through layers of horrifically organized interstellar maps, and then bearing multiple rounds of cutscenes and loading screens to get anywhere. Exciting stuff. Can't fly in atmosphere, can't take off from planets. That's another loading screen too. People are over the moon. There's also overly drawn out animations every time you get in and out the cockpit, and dock onto ships and stations. These aren't even used as covers for loading screens. They're just long, unskippable animations, just for the sake of it. Want to be immersive and actually fly around? Well, thankfully, we have options. You can get into the cockpit, long animation, launch into orbit,
that is, oh my.
And then use the ship's targeting system to pick a planet with a quest marker on, cutscene, and another loading screen. But why do all of that when it's 10 times longer than fast traveling from the menu? And why even have a ship if you're just going to use the menu? There are some random encounters in space. Pirates, bounty hunters, contraband scans, unique events. However, space combat isn't great, and all of these are completely avoidable by instantly fast traveling somewhere else. Bethesda also never bothered to add a system that tracks and prevents repeat encounters, so be prepared to hear a lot of the same space shanties. Okay, space, a pretty big part of an open world space exploration game, pretty much non-existent. But it's okay still. This is a Bethesda game. Their strong suit has always been on for exploration and world building. Once we actually land on these planets, there'd be an overwhelming amount of things to do and places to see. More handcrafted content than Skyrim and Fallout 4 combined, Todd said. We could land anywhere. Explore entire planets. So fumble through the menus again, and after 2 cutscenes and 3 loading screens, players land and emerge onto their first new planet in the settled systems. Huh? Where is everything? Okay, let's check the map. What on earth is that? A bug? A rendering error, perhaps? No. Turns out, that's just how they designed it. Okay, let's put that back. Luckily, there's a scanner we can use. And it looks like there's a few undiscovered locations in the distance we can head to. Hundreds of meters away. That could take a while, so best get out the rover. Wait, there's no rover. Bethesda designed a planetary exploration game without a readable map or a land vehicle. Okay, running it is.
Yep, sounds like Bethesda.
The world looks good. Bethesda has nailed the lighting in Skybox, and there's some interesting creatures, natural formations dotted about, alien dung piles to sift through, and a few old facilities to explore. This particular planet has an abandoned cryolab, a UC listening station, a relay station, and an occupied cave. Not sure why the abandoned facilities are full of enemies, but occupied caves are completely empty. But anyway, wow. There's even some of that old Bethesda environmental storytelling here. Nice. But eventually, it's time to take off and head to another planet. Hold on. Is that Identical formations, the same creatures, the exact same cryolab, the building layout.
Yep.
Bodies,
I had a feeling.
Spawn placements, even down to dead bodies, notes, and terminal entries. Everything about this place, the exact same. The game has over 1,000 planets and 120 star systems, and Bethesda decided to just sprinkle the exact same 100 locations around them. And due to a weird algorithm, a lot of the time, that'll be more of those caves, cryolabs, and UC listening stations. Even the main quest of the game recycles these identical locations.
Yep.
Multiple times.
Oh, we were right there, man!
Outside of procedural places of interest, there's about 4 main cities in the game, around 30 small settlements, and just 82 unique locations. All this spread between 1,000 planets. There's also a couple dozen temples scattered around, but these lose their charm quickly because, again,
oh my god,
the exact same, down to the enemy placement and even the same puzzle. These are also dotted around on random planets, so half the time you'll be finding these ancient, untouched temples next to a procedurally generated Taco Bell drive-thru.
Taco Bell
that shows most of the game points of interest on a planet.
Should have put Long John Silver's.
The most interesting place in the galaxy. Again, Todd wasn't lying. You can land anywhere on these planets. However, everywhere is pretty much the exact same. Planets in Starfield do have varying weather, atmospheric hazards, gravity, and signs of life. There's also some hills, sometimes some craters, and even a few planets with multiple biomes. But mostly, these planets are going to be looking the same, and you'll be trekking across incredibly repetitive, flat land on foot for hours. Proper mountains in the game? Not really. Valleys? Nah. Rivers? What now? There are oceans, even some creatures in those oceans, but Bethesda took out underwater swimming, so we can't even see them. And hold on, does that say boundary reached after running just 20 minutes? What?
Disappointed!
We hadn't landed on a planet at all. We'd landed on a small, randomly generated tile of a planet with almost nothing on. The tiles aren't even persistent with each other. Land on a bordering tile, and the last tile will look completely different. While there's not enough going on planets in this game, at the same time, the opposite problem. For a game about space exploration, nowhere is actually unexplored. Head to a barren moon in the middle of nowhere, well out into the furthest corner of the settled system, and you'll still land next to 3 old factories, and a swarm of pirates not even 500 meters from the ship. You've just landed on a world with radiation storms, 200-degree temperatures, and acid rain. Oh look, there's a cave with some human remains. You're not exploring or discovering anything here. So what is there to actually do on these planets? Well, you can scan and survey the geology and fauna for XP. However, this basically boils down to just running around.
Ah, yes, my favorite plant scanning simulator game.
So no index for any of this, so you can't even see what you've scanned. Also, again, no underwater swimming, so Bethesda went through all the trouble of modeling, designing, and texturing underwater creatures, only for them to never be visible to the player. You can scan them though.
Plants vs. Zombies, what about it? Oh, that, yeah.
You can mine materials and build outposts with them, which you can use to mine more materials, but outside of crafting and XP farming, it's a loop you can skip entirely by just looting or purchasing stuff. You can run through the same few, heavily reused places of interest, and finally, complete the 1 or 2 incredibly basic Radiant fetch or kill quests that have a chance to spawn on them. But a few hours of running around the same small tiles of planets, clearing the same factories, mining the same rocks, and digging through the same piles of literal shit, and the charm begins to wear off. The game's 4 cities.
Yeah.
They're not massive. and the performance is absolutely horrific in them. It's also 2023, and anytime you want to enter a building, there's a loading screen. Fast travel to a building? It will put you outside the front door. So that's 2 loading screens.
You can't keep getting away!
Again, this game requires an SSD to run. Also, this is the biggest city. There's like 400 people here, and it's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's also home to the largest and most advanced military force in the entire galaxy. But walk just a few hundred meters away, and you'll find camps of pirates and mercenaries. Trying to get around the city? Good luck, because again, there's no actual surface map, so finding anything here is a complete nightmare. The NPCs, incredibly
Why are you looking at me like that?
Their facial expressions are quite something. And turns out, in the year 2330, gunshots don't faze anyone.
Nobody cares.
Todd has now also just completely given up on the concept of radiant AI. In Oblivion, NPCs had fairly in-depth day-to-day schedules. Here, they're just walking around randomly in silence, staring into your soul. Almost every named NPC in the game is now tagged as essential and unkillable. The AI in general, interesting too.
He's just standing in front of her.
Terrible in combat, weird spawns, glitching through walls, ascension. The enemy variety, overwhelming. 90% of them are bounty hunters with guns.
Somehow we have continued to evolve
or angry religious
backwards.
people with guns.
Oh, off, grasshopper.
There's also a few types of robots, and then a bunch of mostly passive animals. The combat itself is actually pretty decent, but there's not much of it. Add on to that most enemies being pirates, a faction you'll probably join early on, and now there's even less combat.
Yo guys, it's me Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
The new lockpicking system. Very fun, and very rewarding. And for a game so heavily reliant on inventory management, maps, and menus, the UI here, absolutely horrific.
This is fucking bullshit. Okay? These fucking assholes, these
menus within menus, maps within maps. Todd has been known to streamline game features over the years, and Starfield is no different. Melee weapons. They're in the game, but there's not many. The ones that are there aren't modifiable, like they were in Fallout 4 and 76. You can still take gun mods off, but this time, you can't add them back onto other weapons. They just disappear. No armor and weapon dismantling. You can't loot outfits from NPCs' bodies. And the base building from Fallout 4 is here, but it's bare bones. There's no settler system, raids, or economy system, and the whole thing is pretty much pointless.
Oh, what am I doing?
Stealth, definitely worse than previous games. People now see you through walls and platforms, and guards just teleport directly to you. Companions rarely crouch, and alert everyone, all the time. The game also has cartoonishly large vents peppered around buildings, conveniently placed in areas you need to sneak around. They're so big, you can literally sprint around in them. This is definitely a coincidence, and not because Bethesda didn't bother to lower the player hitbox when you're crouching.
Coincidence? I think not.
The speech in Starfield? A big step up from 4. No voice actors means more varied dialogue options, and a more nuanced dialogue system. More chances to persuade and affect quest outcomes, less, give me money.
We are for the money.
Also, you can now actually see what your character's about to say. However,
That's
there's
good.
also a new persuasion system, and it uses multiple rounds of speech checks to pass.
Do you want to have sex with me?
Yes, I do.
Amazing.
Not now.
Not a terrible idea, but Emil and the boys couldn't really be asked to actually write all these speech options. So instead, they just wrote a bunch of generic ones the game can pull from, meaning half the stuff you say here will make no sense at all.
Hey, Douglas, how's the wife?
She died.
Attaboy!
It's also still based on percentages, so you can just save and try again.
Do you want to have sex with me?
I'm not giving you my card.
While there's some incredibly believable persuasion here,
Maybe I can make an exception.
the dialogue itself, generally quite bland.
God, and they just look
Oh my god, I still have to talk to this bitch.
Okay, I guess some of them look really ugly.
Overuse of radiant quests.
It isn't real. Another son of a...
So in Starfield, they dialed it up to 11. Even a ton of the regular quests feel radiant. There's a ton of fetch and kill quests, and these are now even worse because of all the loading screens and menu digging.
I've waited years.
Need to speak to someone? Well, despite there being faster than light ship travel, inter-system radio, internet, or messaging doesn't exist here. You're gonna have to travel a few light years and bear a few rounds of loading screens to have a 30-second chat, and then go through the same again to leave. A significant portion of the game could be skipped if you could just send an email. You also have a smartwatch on your wrist for the entire game, but can't talk or text someone on the same planet. But steal a paperclip, and everyone in every star system in the game instantly knows about it. Makes sense. A lot of the quests are linear, and there are only 2 outcomes, and there's pretty much no interaction between different quest lines, or even factions. Their outcomes don't affect anything, and mean nothing. While there's less quests than Skyrim, you'll still be given a metric ton of them, and again, with over 1,000 planets and dozens of other locations,
awful.
The boys at Bethesda didn't consider adding a sort by local option, meaning it's a nightmare to work out where they all are and get through them. Okay, the quests aren't brilliantly made, but how about the world and story itself? This was Bethesda's first new universe in 25 years. They couldn't just coast on pre-established work here. They'd have to write this whole thing themselves from the ground up. But it's fine. Todd's got top writing talent. And him, Emil, and the rest of the writing team sat down to plot. First order of business? This game's setting. Let's make it extremely inoffensive and completely sanitized. Remember lads, we're gunning for a mainstream crowd here. We don't want to put anyone off. No mature themes, dark humor, nothing edgy at all. This is not Fallout in space. More like the Jetsons. So they design a game with a tone more akin to a children's show than a gritty, realistic space frontier. Most characters are dull, completely morally upstanding, straight arrows, with nothing to them. Even the pirates here are Nickelodeon tier. And the nightclub. Let's populate it with old men walking around in suits with briefcases, and a few Teletubbies dancing on stage. Yes, that's what a nightclub looks like. Also, we have an incredibly detailed dismemberment system with gore and other animations ready-made from Fallout 4. Let's get rid of it completely. This is despite the game already having a mature rating, by the way. And while there's no rover in this, we'll still put vehicles in the game,
that's...
and even cool mechs, and even a whole story around those cool mechs. Can the player pilot them? No. We'll make it a plot point that that's illegal in universe. Okay. Only enemies can then. No. Not them either. We'll just add them as background furniture in 1 or 2 locations. So what about the actual story? Okay.
Oh boy.
Starfield's universe has a series of massive wars set across multiple star systems. Let's set this game decades after any of that happens. Right? Will there be alien characters? No, not really. Just people, some alien animals, and plants. We're going for realism here. True sci-fi.
Yep, an entire several solar systems in space and not a single fucking alien. That's something that tipped me off, is I never heard anything about there being aliens in Starfield, and that really tipped me off to how bad this was. You're gonna make a fantasy game. A fantasy game. You're gonna make a fictional setting in space, and you're not gonna have any aliens or even just alien hybrids. Like, come on.
The grounded NASA punk art style. Also, let's add space wizards at the end, driving the entire plot of the game. The player's goal is to become Starborn. What we'll have them do is collect the same artifact, in the same temple, with the same puzzle at the end, 24 times. Nice. Then at the end of the game, they can jump to a parallel universe. But let's not get too crazy with this. They're all the exact same, with a 15% chance of one minor change, like a character becoming a potted plant. Brilliant. No one could predict any of this. We just have to make sure that hair clipping glitch on the Hunter character that would spoil who they are and the game's big reveal is patched before final release. Despite the issues, on launch, Starfield does amazingly. Bethesda says it's their biggest launch ever. It's the #1 bestseller on Steam despite being free with the Games Pass. And there's over 6 million players on launch. The user reviews, very positive. However, the honeymoon doesn't last long. After sinking a few hours into the game, the initial excitement wears off, and opinions begin to change. Not good. Todd, they're leaving negative reviews on Steam. Okay, now we've been through this before. Didn't handle it amazingly. We should just keep a level head here. Let these reviews simmer and ride out the storm. Log on to Steam. Respond to the reviews. Each one individually. Tell them their subjective opinions are objectively wrong. Boring? That's insane. Astronauts went to the moon a few times. There's nothing there. They weren't bored. That's good. Write that. Bad RPG mechanics? They must be playing the game wrong. Tell them to create a different character and try again. Send. What else? The loading screen?
Oh, they tried to do damage control. I see what happened.
Have they considered the amount of data they're generating in those load screens?
I see what happened.
Great. Send that too. Emil also sees the backlash. He ponders for a moment. Was it possible their game actually had some issues? Could he have been wrong? No. He was right. It's the fans that were wrong. So he boots up Twitter and writes a 15-part thread on just that.
Oh, however, I remember Emil and his fucking schizo Twitter posting when everyone was shitting on Starfield. I remember seeing a video about that. Emil is genuinely just a man, baby. Like, holy.
Shockingly, Bethesda's rebuttals are ineffective. On Steam, very positive slips to mostly positive to mixed, and by December, mixed to mostly negative. Todd blames the bad reviews on the game being too different.
What?
But it was alright. December 7th, 2023. It's awards night, and Todd takes his seat. Online, the game was getting blasted, but the critics would understand.
And Starfield. And the Game Award goes to Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3, which was significantly better.
Post-launch, Starfield's player numbers crater quickly. Within December 7th, 2023. It's awards night, and Todd takes his seat. Online, the game was getting blasted, but the critics would understand.
And Starfield. And the Game Award goes to Baldur's Gate 3.
Snubbed again. Post-launch, Starfield's player numbers
cars in the
crater
road.
Quickly. Within a month, 330,000 players on Steam dribbles down to 100,000. The next month, that becomes 40,000. And by December, the game has less than 10% of its original player base. It's not just players. The game is so boring, high-profile modders are just up and quitting in the middle of development. Okay, no bueno. They need to do something, and quick. So people at Bethesda man the desks and get to work on patches. And within a few months, miracles start to materialize. 60 frames per second, a car, an eat food button. My god, they'd even added a map. However, any goodwill from patches instantly incinerated as they unveil paid mods for a third time and try to shift singular quest mods for $7 a piece.
People will buy anything.
Ah.
The more you put into it, the more it gives back.
Review bombs rain again. So what happened? Well, post-launch, a few articles on the game's development comes out, and we get a glimpse of the behind the scenes. Back in 2015, and full-scale production of Starfield was kicking off. For Bethesda, this is also a time of aggressive expansion. 180 people in a single building in Rockville in 2015 turned into 500 people spanning 4 development teams, cities, and multiple countries by 2021.
Oh my god.
And naturally, for development, this changes things. Individual developer freedom goes down the toilet, and people are now forced to adhere to a strict development schedule. According to a former dev, some of the best features of Skyrim and Fallout 3 started out as random side projects they'd play around with during development. However, Bethesda's new games are made with a checklist design. Veer off it, and upper management won't be happy. So this experimentation is no longer possible. At the same time, a ton of bureaucracy, constant meetings, and a game that is now essentially designed by committee. Word on the street is, Todd is known to be an obsessive micromanager, so almost every creative decision runs through him. And with 500 people now under his belt, he's stretched thin. Emil Paliarulo is still the head writer, and his philosophy hasn't changed here. He likes to keep things simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. This is my own personal rule for myself, right?
And why put in any effort writing a good story when players are just gonna make a paper aeroplane out of it?
And they're gonna throw them around the room, and they're never gonna see your story. Because they are gonna spend 30 hours making
the
facts.
Anil...
He's also the design.
The Anil design writing philosophy where he quite literally said that your players are stupid, so why make anything complicated? Why make anything sensible in the first place?
And he's still absolutely raw-dogging that too. No need for a proper, widely accessible, unified document to keep the 500 people working on the game informed and on the same page. Let's make the game itself a design document. Just write some notes in the game files as we go. The result of this, a very compartmentalized development with a ton of siloed game features that never interact with each other. Mechs that are designed, textured, and coded, and then barely appear outside of a single mission, and systems like zero gravity that again, are only used a handful of times. After negative internal feedback on gameplay, they'd also pivot direction massively mid-development.
Sounds like Anil's the main problem here.
The game were trimmed, and Starfield goes from a more survival and resource-oriented game to something more casual. Fuel consumption, punishing planetary hazards, and the necessity of outpost building, all either scrapped or nerfed to the point of being irrelevant. In the past, Todd has said he builds his games starting with a world, and then builds everything out from there, finding the fun as they go along. However, for Starfield, that happened in the final year of development. It took around 7 years to find that fun, and for the vast majority of people, it was nowhere to be found. Despite the patches and DLC, the damage had been done. Starfield's player base continued to dwindle, and within 6 months of launch, 97% of its Steam players gone. On Steam, for Skyrim, it took around a decade before players dipped below 20,000. For Fallout 4, that took around 5 years. For Starfield, it took 3 months. As of 2025, Fallout 4 has 6 times the Steam players, Skyrim around 7. The developer's original intent for the game was to be a long-term platform for annual expansions, but with these player numbers, not sure about that. Even on Bethesda's communication channels, months of silence on the game. No patches for almost half a year. Had they up and quit too? But then in March 2025, a tweet. The game is not dead yet. A patch even comes out in May. Some bug fixes, creation kit additions, and a new, very low graphical setting. Nice. And with a presumed second expansion for Starfield in the works, the game's remaining players wait for details, with a sea of paid creations to keep them busy in the interim. But for the 3rd time now,
Baldur's Gate 3.
Todd leaves the Game Awards empty-handed. The industry was not the same as it once was. The competition is now hot. The tech, incredibly impressive. But this next project was different. Bethesda's forte. They could not mess it up.
cope about it. Elder Scrolls 6 is not being... It's never coming out. Give the... It's... I swear, Elder Scrolls is just not ever going to come out. I do want to watch a video on Zuckerberg's metaverse nonsense, but at the same time...